Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're going to break down an absolutely incredible story of how a theme park became a weapon. This is about a small group of people in Bulgaria who, armed with just a vision, took on their country's entire corrupt establishment. And believe it or not, they won. It's really a masterclass in how you fight back when the whole system is rigged against you. Now, that's not from some movie script. This was a real threat delivered by the mafia to a community that just dared to stand in the way of a billion-euro project. It's a chilling quote for sure, and it marks the exact moment a local dispute became a fight for their very survival. So, how on earth did it get to this point? Well, to really get it, you have to understand the world this all came from, and that world was post-communist Bulgaria. And look, this wasn't just about economic problems. This was a society that was literally gripped by fear. This was the environment a young man named Rado Ivanov grew up in, a world where all the rules were rigged and the mafia had basically moved from the streets right into the halls of government. And this simple question, this is the spark for everything that comes next. See, when Rado saw his peers with all this unexplainable wealth, he wasn't just jealous, he was curious. He wanted to understand the system. That desire to know how it all really worked, that was the first step on this incredible journey. Okay, so in that kind of situation, a lot of people would do one of two things, right? You either try to join the corrupt system, or you just get out of the country. But Rado and his colleagues, they chose a third path. They decided to build something brand new, right in the middle of all the decay. And their answer was the historical park. But this wasn't just some tourist attraction. It was an act of economic rebellion. By crowdfunding it, they kept it completely out of the hands of the oligarchs. It was their attempt to create this little pocket of prosperity and cultural pride, a parallel system that proved a better way was actually possible. And here's the crazy part. It wasn't just some nice idea. It actually worked. They took one of the poorest regions in the entire country and turned it into this thriving hub. We're talking thousands of jobs created, property values skyrocketing 20-fold, and a whole new kind of cultural tourism started to boom. They had built a real functioning alternative. But as you can probably guess, this kind of real, independent success, well, it started to attract the wrong kind of attention. A new threat showed up, one they couldn't just ignore or build around or buy off. 1.2 billion euros. That was the price tag on a massive wind turbine project that a global corporation, CWP Global, wanted to build. And where did they want to build it? Right on top of the community they had just spent years revitalizing. The people in the community, they knew exactly what this meant. This so-called green project, it was going to undo everything they had built. So they weren't going to let that happen. They resisted. And that is when things got really ugly. And there it is again. The threat was delivered through mafia channels. The message was unmistakable. This big corporate project was backed by organized crime. The fight was no longer about zoning laws or property values. The stakes were now literally life and death. So they're facing this massive threat, right? And the established political opposition? Totally silent. They were completely abandoned. And that's when they had this huge realization. If you want to fight the system, you have to get inside the system. And what's so brilliant about this is how they escalated things, step by step. They didn't just jump straight into national politics. No, they started small, going door to door. Then they won the local council vote. When that wasn't enough, they formed their own party, they called it Greatness, and then they won the local elections to protect the region. It was just this beautiful example of strategic, escalating resistance. So their local success, it just gives them this incredible momentum, and they decide to go for the national elections. And this is where they came face to face with just how brazen the state's corruption really was. The day before the national election, the powers that be just lay their cards on the table. They offer them this enormous bribe, 100 million euros and control of an entire region. And the threat, if they said no, political annihilation. They would make sure their party would fail to cross the 4% threshold to get into parliament by the smallest, most insulting margin possible. So they refused the bribe. And well, the powers that be made good on their promise. I mean, just look at this result. It's so blatant, it's almost funny. They didn't just make them lose. They made them lose by the exact margin they threatened. It was a clear message to anyone who dared to defy them. But here's the thing. This is where the story takes a crazy turn. The heist was so clumsy, so arrogant, they actually left a trail. A legal challenge forced a partial recount, and it found that a staggering 50% of the ballots were faked. The fraud was just so massive they couldn't hide it. So against all odds, the court was forced to reinstate them. And now they had a platform inside the very system they were fighting. So now they're inside Parliament, and their whole strategy, it just shifts completely. It was no longer about just winning elections, it was about using their new platform to expose the entire rotten structure for the whole country to see. They started weaponizing an idea, a really powerful one. They called the system the Partia Mafia, the Mafia Party. The theory was simple. All the political fighting you see on TV between parties, left versus right, government versus opposition, it was all just theater. In reality, they were all one big club, controlled by the same forces, and it was all designed to keep ordinary people out of power. And to make this idea really stick, to make it something everyone could grab onto, they pulled from George Orwell's Animal Farm. They started calling the establishment the rulership of the pigs. And this simple, powerful message just cut through all the political noise. It was an analogy everybody understood, and it resonated so deeply with a population that already knew, instinctively, that they were being lied to. And the result? It was absolutely explosive. The message went viral, especially with young people, and it triggered the largest protests Bulgaria had seen since the fall of communism. The public pressure just became unbearable. The rulership of the pigs, the Partia Mafia government, was forced to resign. They had actually broken the simulation. I mean, just think about that journey for a second. It all started with a park. It became a political movement, and it ended with the fall of a government. This is just such a powerful lesson in how to fight back against a deeply entrenched, corrupt system. It shows you what's possible when people just refuse to be silenced. So it's this incredible journey, right? From building a park to literally toppling a government. But it's more than just a story. It's a playbook. A story of courage, of strategy, and of the undeniable power of a simple idea. Thanks for joining this explainer.